hear me?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a live interactive panel conversation for breakthrough discussions on donor CRM software to increase donor acquisition, retention, and streamline administration. I see a few of you joining right now, so we'll let you all filter in. But if you are just joining us, go ahead and make sure you utilize that chat box to let us know where you are joining from. Drop a hello in the chat and say hello. And then we also have our Q&A box open. So if you do have any questions during the session, feel free to use the Q&A box as well. And we'll get started in just a couple minutes. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome today. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is a recorded session, so you will be receiving a copy of the session from today, as well as the PowerPoint deck. So feel free to, sit back and enjoy, because you will get a copy of everything that you see today. So I'm going to go ahead and start so we can get a clean recording. Hi, everyone, and welcome to live interactive panel conversations for breakthrough discussions on donor CRM software to increase donor acquisition, retention, and streamline administration. This is an interactive conversation, so we want to hear from you during this. We want to hear all your questions that you may have on donor CRM software, anything that maybe you have wanted to know or you would like a better understanding on, or any questions that you see today on anything we're going to share. Make sure you utilize that chat box and the Q&A box so you can interact with us, because this is an open discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and walk us through our agenda. So I'm going to start by introducing our panel in just a moment. But then we're going to ask some polls, ask some questions of you guys to learn a little bit more about you. We're going to talk about the partnership between Ariva and Tide Center, share a little bit more about who we are as Ariva, and then show you some examples of live clients and nonprofits that are creating more awareness, attracting new donors, and engaging and retaining existing donors while increasing fundraising. And then we're going to show some key statistics and insights that we found the industry is facing, and then some questions and answers. Like I said, this is an interactive session, so you don't have to wait for the end for your questions and answers. You can pop those questions as they come through, and we'll be sure to get to them. So I'm going to start by introducing our panel. So first, I have David Blyer, who is the co-founder, president, and CEO of Ariva. Thanks for being here today, David. Oh, you're on mute, David.
Thank you for having me, and we're excited to be partners with Tides Foundation.
Thanks, David. And then I have Chris, who is our Chief Operating Officer here at Ariva.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all.
I have Pete Tyrone, who is a Chief Do-Gooder and Results Conjurer at Do Good Stuff Consulting. How are you, Tyrone?
Good morning. Happy to be here and excited about continuing the partnership with Tides for onboarding all the new platforms we've been working on the last few years. It's one of the next steps.
And then we have Megan Herbert, who is the advisor of fiscally sponsored projects at Tide Center. Hi, Megan. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Nice to see you all. For those who I haven't met on the project side, nice to meet you, and I'm excited for this discussion today.
Great. And my name is Gabriela Salemi. I'm the digital marketing manager here at Ariva, and I'll be moderating the session today. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a poll to your screen. You should see it pop up in a minute. All right, this takes a minute on the back end. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know why it's not launching for me. Hold on one second. I don't know why these aren't launching for me. I think try this one more time. If it's not working, we might just have to skip these polls.
We can have
Maybe
folks
we
jump
can-
in on the chat, maybe.
Yeah, they're not launching for some reason. They won't launch when I click launch. Why doesn't everyone go ahead and start by just answering a quick question? Where is your organization in the process of adopting a new CRM? Are you just beginning to look at CRMs? Is it, kind of cold? Are you hot? You're ready to, find your next CRM. You are looking at options and you need to make a decision now. Where are you guys on that spectrum of looking at CRM? I'll give you guys a moment to answer. Okay. If you can use that chat box, go ahead. If not, we can go to the next question. How many different software solutions are you currently using? So this is pretty important to note. Are you using one solution? Are you using 2, 3, 4? Some of you answered in a survey we did before that,
Right.
combining everything into one unified database was pretty important. I see one person, Laura, she says, we have one for our sales process, but not for our donors. Okay, so yeah, having a system for your donors is really important. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, too. And then is increasing donor acquisition, retention, and engagement one of your goals? So are you looking to build deeper relationships with your donors? Are you looking to acquire more donors? Would you say this is a pain point for your organization? You just want to do a quick Y in the chat for yes, a quick N in the chat for no. We can just kind of gauge, the struggles that you're facing. Okay, Yvonne says yes, that is one of the challenges that she is facing. You're in the right place, Yvonne. Okay, and then would you like for all applications, donation, pledges, peer-to-peer fundraising, team fundraising, event registration, grants, volunteers, memberships, auctions, and text-based donations to be as one solution with one database? So maybe you're using, one system to do peer-to-peer fundraising. Maybe you're doing another system to sell tickets at events. And none of those systems speak to each other, and you have to move data around from multiple solutions. If that's a challenge you're facing, let us know in the chat box, and we're going to cover it in today's session. And then I'll pass this over to Tyrone and Megan to share a little bit about the partnership that we have with Tide Center.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to share more about our history with Ariva and why we're so excited about this webinar and about our partnership with this platform. So I've been working really closely with Pete Tyrone over the last 2.5 years to vet which platforms are approved for Tide Center fiscally sponsored projects to use. And we're really dedicated to partnering with solutions that are not only that play nice with Tide's systems, so from an accounts receivable perspective, meet all of our requirements for our legal department, that are their security and safety as a platform is something that we can sign off on. Those are all really important. And it's really important for us to make sure that you as projects and the end user of the platform have a modern, reliable, and secure solution to help support your organization. So over a 6-month process last year, Exceed Further and other donor CRM platforms participated in an evaluation. Part of that involved multiple demos, providing a lot of information, even presenting a demo to a group of fiscally sponsored projects at Tides who helped weigh in on the ultimate platforms that we chose and selected as our approved list, and Exceed further rose to the top from that selection process. So we're really excited to be partnering with them. And as an approved platform, they offer really, really strong data administration and online fundraising solutions that we think a lot of projects could benefit from. As I mentioned, they're compatible with our systems on a variety of ways. And they're also really, really committed to this being a lasting partnership and to make sure that you all have access to extraordinary technology and really strong customer service as well, so that you can fully utilize all of the technology and make sure that you're getting the most out of the platform.
Hey, Megan, thank you so much for the warm introduction, and it really is exciting to look at the things that we can do for all the Tides organizations out there. You know, I don't know if everybody has heard about Ariva, and I like the fact that we're making this as a informal panel conversation. So if you have any questions during it, please just, go ahead and in the chat, raise your hand, let us know. But a little bit about Ariva. We've been in the industry for over 30 years. We have over 6,000 clients worldwide. Our clients have done many different things with our software, one of which being over 30 to 40,000 different types of events, whether they're live, virtual, hybrid events, gala events, golf outings, or any different types of fundraising. And there's so many wonderful things that we can share with you on new ideas. Our software was exclusively built for the nonprofit industry. Not only do we have 6,000 clients, but like you heard earlier, and the Tides Foundation is one of them, but we have also been vetted and approved by many national organizations that are out there today: the Society of St. Vincent de Paul's and Diocese and Rotaries and Jewish Federations, Boys and Girls Club, Meals on Wheels, and the Ronald McDonald House Charities. In fact, I think over 80% of every Ronald McDonald House charity today is using some version of our applications and software today. We do have some really great consultants that are out there and great partnerships, as you can see. What Ariva really did was solve a problem within the industry, and that's really what we were looking at. I think, what we've learned over the time with Megan and Tyrone, and it's not just with the Tides, it's with many. There's a lot of different software and a lot of different applications, and I think there's a place for all of them. But one of the limiting factors is the fact of they don't always talk to one another. And when you think about what does that really mean, you may have a system for your donor relationship management. You may have a system for your sales process. You may be looking at a campaign management. Maybe you're running an event and you're using a third-party event software. There's a lot of different applications, whether it be team fundraising, a donation platform, a text-based platform. There's many out there. And the problem there is they're not always either, there's limited or no integration between your entire systems. So what a lot of things that happen is a lot of manual information, a lot of moving of data. If there's turnover, how do we train people? It becomes costly to train people. It becomes costly to manage that. And really with that comes with a lot of different challenges, with having to have those things that are not being automated. And you're really out there focusing on your mission, you're focusing on your donors, you're focusing on increasing your donors, you're focusing on retention. Because of the limiting factors that you have with technology, it does limit you to how you communicate with your donors, the experience that they're having. And Gabby, you may want to change the slide. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you may want to, yeah, thanks. And then you have that inconsistent, obviously, donor engagement that you may want to have differently. But because of the limitations, it's not really giving you the ability to reach out when you would like to reach out, right? So the experience of a donor themselves, or even a volunteer, or even a board member, or maybe just a very active donor, it could be a number of different things. Maybe their experience is not as good as you would like it, or maybe they're not even sharing it with you. But these are some of the factors in why you see a decrease in acquisition, retention, and concerns about acknowledgement. So a lot of organizations have been looking for more efficient ways, and we do believe that we have solved the problem. And the way that we've solved the problem, I'm going to show you a slide in a minute. It has a lot of words on it. I always say, listen to the music. I don't have to read the words. But the way that we have solved the problem is through what we call Exceed Further. And Exceed Further is our flagship product that, the Tides organization has really selected as one of their preferred vendors. And Exceed Further, we can literally stand up here and say this, is the only all-in-one, cloud-based, fully integrated, automated digital fundraising, donor relationship management, healthcare hospitality, and auction software. What we mean by integrated and automated, on any application that you're using with Exceed, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but whether it's a donation or a reoccurring donation, or somebody's creating a pledge, or paying an existing pledge, or registering for an event, or maybe they're either giving a donation or building and creating their own peer-to-peer and sending this out to their friends. Maybe you're having a team fundraising event and you can register people, they can participate, they could become a captain, whatever that would be, or registering just as a volunteer, or maybe on the membership side, they're registering as a member. When anybody does anything and they fill out that page and they click submit, automatically and instantaneously, all of that relevant information directly goes into the donor relationship management database instantly, automatically sends a custom thank you acknowledgement receipt to that individual. So if it was an event, it could be about the event. If it was a donation, it could be about that, or any other thing that they're doing. And then what's really important is immediately the organization, your organization, is getting a notification of that individual and what they did, which leads to what we always talk about, best practices. So part of that acknowledgement, part of that retention, part of that increase on donor acquisition plays a factor in this. And maybe you don't have all the time, but the database should allow you to go in and segment out where you can then go and say, I want to see everybody that gave a donation in the last 7 days, and reach out to them and just acknowledge them. The other nice thing is, I always ask this question, you can raise your hand, I'll just assume it. If you use Facebook or any social media that really you're in, and I use Facebook as the example, because Facebook, when you're in Facebook, you never leave Facebook. You stay on Facebook, you can download, you can look, you can search, you can do whatever you want, but you leave when you decide to leave. Well, we felt anybody going to your website using any of our applications that are seamlessly into your platform should never leave either. So if they gave a donation, they should still be on your website, whether they stay on that page or they're redirected. And that should apply for any application, whether it's a donation, a pledge, event registration, volunteer registration. And then what you see out of that is site engagement goes up. You want people to stay on your website. When they're pushed off, they're not coming back. And this is another value proposition that really Ariva has provided as a true value, and really helping acknowledge those people that are staying on the website. The other thing is, Exceed Further says a lot, but it has a lot of applications. And with those applications, you have a lot of choices. You don't have to buy all the applications. On the top right side, I just want to give you a familiarity. If you think of a ways to give on a menu bar and you click on ways to give, and there's 3 or 5 different ways, you want to have a more of a donor-centric experience. And we built what we call unlimited donation pages. So it's one click away. We can talk a little bit more about that later. But you have a lot of features, whether it's reoccurring or online tributes. Even the tribute feature that we have done is allowing better service to the people that are providing and giving a tribute, and to the person that's receiving it, because they're going to get an acknowledgement immediately, not wait. And this really helps with time. We've created the matching gift capabilities, whether it's integrated with double the donations, or it's just a field where your donors can put in the name of the company to give matching gifts. We provide online pledges to create a pledge, pay an existing pledge, peer-to-peer fundraising. Great way. We have a lot of different stories on peer-to-peer fundraising, and peer-to-peer fundraising can be used in so many different ways, whether it's trying to increase your donor acquisition through people that are participating that want to get a word out, but it's always something that's being driven. It could be time sensitive, that you need, to raise a certain amount of money. It could be engaging your existing donors within your donor database. There's so many wonderful ways. We have team fundraising and event registration and event management and membership registration and volunteer registration. If we have online grant registration, and then we have a text-based donation as well. On the top left, is everything that's integrated with the online fundraising, the front side, but we track by households. It is a very robust, very easy to use donor relationship management. We have an email communications built into that. So if you have 5 or 1,000 emails that you want to send out for an event, a reminder, or whatever, it's a great product to use. However, if you have Constant Contact or MailChimp or Vertical Response, it's not to replace any one of those, but we have integrated with each and every one of those. We also have SMS texting in the back. We mentioned event management tied to the event registration and membership management and volunteer management. We have campaign management. So if you're doing campaigns and tracking them, or if you're doing inbound grants and applying for grants, you have the ability to track those grants. And then all the applications that we do provide have hundreds of different types of reports. And then if you do have specific reports, we also have a report builder. Now, many organizations that do events don't always do auctions, but the ones that are doing auctions, we also, that's why we separated this as a category, but we have auction software as well. And we have you see three different auction platforms here. The first one is Microsoft Auction. If you're doing an in-room and it's a silent auction and you have bid forms, we do everything from tracking all of that all the way to checkout. If you're doing a silent auction, but you want to even start 3 months before or 2 months before or 1 month before or the day of, but you want to have people that couldn't physically attend and having bidding both physically attending and the people that couldn't attend, we call that Microsoft Auction Online. And that is part of building a website for the auction itself. So they can go and view this. You can embed that into your existing website. And then if you are doing live auctions, and this is really a great product and we can set up another time, it's very engaging. It provides not only the live auction and the interaction, you can set up auto reply immediately where, hey, I want to buy this, and for every $50 automatically, because maybe you couldn't attend that meeting and you're in your own meeting. You can do raffle tickets with this product. You can raise the paddle and give a donation if you didn't want to buy things. It's a really engaging product. It's also there's a great feature within this. So if you're doing sponsorships, you can explain to the sponsors, we're going to advertise your company on this product and it's going to be viral. On the services side, we do a lot of services for our clients. We do build new custom websites if we want it. If our clients want it, they're donor-centric websites. We do full data migrations. We have the most amazing data migration team. It truly is second to none. We are not the company that's just moving data for the sake of moving data. We are actually doing the entire process and working with you to make sure you don't have duplicates, to make sure that anything that is duplicates and cleansing that data is part of that. We have full training. We also have a really amazing technical support team, but we also have built an incredible infrastructure where you're not just sending an email to a support organization, you're actually sending this into an automated process, and everybody on our support team, it's one ticketing system, has a view into all tickets. We can see when the ticket came in, we pull the ticket, who responded to the ticket, how that ticket went. If something ever missed, we have an executive that's overlooking all of this. This is very key to our retention rates. We also have client success. Client success is your advocate. They're there to share ideas with you. They're there to set up cadences with you. They're there to support you and providing new ideas on anything that you're doing or not doing with Ariva. We have our Ariva Academy. These are little snippets of recordings of everything that you can imagine. Maybe you forgot how to, cut and paste the event. You can download that. Or how do I download a report? Simple things is like that. And then if you are ever doing an auction, we do have in-house our own live benefit auctioneers. So those are just some of the services that we do provide. It's another reason why we have over a 95% retention rate with our clients today. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, David. This slide really is showing you it's a visual representation of everything David was just talking about, really, in terms of the functionality that we can provide all in one application, right? We find that the clients that come to us on average are using, what, David, 4 to 6 different applications to manage all that you're seeing here, which our product can handle all in one database, essentially. And it's really helping them be more efficient. They're not having to spend all that time exchanging data between solutions. They ran an event in this software, now they have to get into their donor relationship management database. Oh, their peer-to-peer campaign, is being run on this separate platform as well. We now have to get those donations into our solution. All that time that you're spending on it is eliminated. And it really allows you to see engagement across all of your constituents and how they might be related and affiliated and engaging with your organization, which is really key to that donor engagement piece is really key to the retention and the acquisition side as well. So not only are you going to be much more efficient with using a solution like ours, but you're going to have gain insights and be able to segment and solicit those people much more easily as well.
One thing that we don't take for granted, believe it or not, because when I even look at certain websites and download, they're not responsive. I think the point here is all of our applications are mobile responsive.
Yeah.
Well, we love to talk about case studies. I mean, this is an organization, and I'll share this. It was a all volunteer organization. They had 2 people really leading this organization. It's been around for a very, very long time. And it wasn't moving in the way that they wanted it to move. And they had an incredible amount of people within spreadsheets. And their goal was to raise $8 million. I don't know how they actually came up with the number of $8 million, but to cure a deficiency within their glycosagen. And that was the challenge. How do we do that? Well, first of all, they built an incredible website, and I will share that with you. And the website that they originally built was really what I would consider a very donor-centric fundraising website. Very engaging, very telling, talked about the impact. And then they really went off and they looked at re-engaging 20 years worth of donors and volunteers, encouraging them. But when you are encouraging people, you also have to give them a method to support you. And that's really what it's all about. You can't just ask people to say, hey, we're raising 8 million, help us. But they really, and we talk about this in many different presentations, but this was an organization that really capitalized on using a lot of different technology by using peer-to-peer fundraising, by doing impact reports. I mean, by using different channels of getting their messaging out there. And they exceeded their goal by 66% through different types of campaigns, really segmenting all of these re-engaged donors and volunteers that were come from different generation gaps, you name it. They identified them. They knew how to market to each one of them. They just didn't send one email to the same email to every single person. They really understood the segmentation. We talk a lot about that, but they used a lot of different methods, from their email marketing campaigns to peer-to-peer, different very creative events. They acquired a lot of new donors on this. And they really did an amazing job of engaging and retaining the not only the new donors that were coming in, but even re-engaging their existing donors from their database. And by the way, I love saying this, it gives me goosebumps to say this, and they used our software, is they actually, not only did they reach their goal, they actually cured one of the deficiencies already while they were here with using Ariva. So I'm really, not that we did it, but I'm proud that we were a little piece in that cog of helping them do that. Another great case study that we'd love to talk about.
Hey, David, I'm gonna jump in here. Let's go back a second, because I think there's some important thing to highlight here, especially for Tides projects, is that an all-in-one software like you offer that allows them to customize their needs. A lot of the Tides projects are new or just growing or all volunteer. So getting into an all-in-one system like yours does a couple things. It gets them in something that's affordable and gives them the basic functionality that they need. And as they expand and grow their fundraising and the way they handle donors and the way they do fundraising, they don't have to bring on another system. A system like yours gets them all the functionality they need when they need it at an affordable price. And then you have the backup for the training, and then all their data stays in one place. For projects who have limited staff and resources, this is a game changer. And it's one of the biggest reasons that we chose you. And I'm just curious if any of the participants who are here sort of like see that as something that would be beneficial, or like something they're already dealing with. because making a technology shift is hard for people. It's emotional. It takes time and effort and skills they don't necessarily have. And it's not something they want to do year over year. It would be great to get them into one platform that can really meet their needs long term.
Tyrone, yeah, we'll wait for the answers, but I absolutely agree with you. The way that we've built this platform, it's not just for big players. It sounds very robust. It sounds like there's a lot there. You're absolutely right. I had an opportunity, and I don't know if we have this in a case study today, but this was a really good example. They had no money. I mean, literally, they had no money. They had one leader that really decided to run with this. They didn't have any software, and she was, whether do I go to GoDaddy and buy a $49 this? Do I go get Excel spreadsheet or maybe an $89 product? Do I use a PayPal? And the advantage that she really had was a clear understanding, being in the nonprofit space and seeing what it was using individual platforms before. And when we approached her and she saw this presentation that we did, she was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Is this for grassroots, David? I said, absolutely. And you're spot on, Tyrone. We have organizations that literally had no donors, and they wanted to build an infrastructure, not only that they could afford, because when you're doing it on even a small end, it's affordable for even the smaller organizations. And we've priced this accordingly, always to really help, because we do believe that we're socially good in what we do, but we also wanted to do that for the small organizations that were either starting or had 50 donors or had 100 donors. It wasn't where we're looking for, the person that has 100,000 donors, right? So you're absolutely spot on. It's a system that you can start slow and grow with, whether it's adding on more applications because you don't need everything today, or adding them all. There's a lot of different flexibilities, and I appreciate that you bringing that up, because it is really important for the audience to know, regardless of the size, this is a solution that can start with virtually almost nobody or a very large organization.
Yeah, folks can be overwhelmed real easy, as you know. And so in addition to them being able to pick and choose and build it as they go, we want folks to know that you guys also bring your expertise. Unlike some platforms that sort of leave folks to their own devices, you guys are a little more hands-on. You're really more invested in the success of your clients. And that can help, again, these young building nonprofits that have limited knowledge and experience. And so with your guidance and support, and the being affordable and being so robust, I think folks can feel a little more confident that they can step into it and not having all the answers right away, that they're gonna be supported along the way.
I love talking about Tyrone and Chris. You've been really involved in a lot of these things. If there's anything that you could add to this, it would be amazing, because Chris is always dealing with our clients in a very personalized way, which I always love. But talking about the Davy Pal, and I'm sure some of you heard of the Police Athletic League. It sounds like it's a national organization. It is. They are very independent chapters. They just use the name. And this was a really interesting story. Fortunately, I had an opportunity to physically go and visit them. The executive director, and it is interesting, the executive director they put in place, and it's a very long story on this, but the PAL was actually driven by the city, and then the police department decided to take it over. When they had a change of management, and there's a lot of reasons why they had a little change of management, they brought in an actual police officer, and the reason they made this police officer an executive director is because they said, hey, you're patrolling the schools. That makes you a leader for the PAL program. Okay. You think he had experience or not? This guy was utterly amazing. He went in and didn't realize that they had less than 6 months of operating income. They owed the IRS money. They had less than 20 kids in their after school program, so nobody really knew about it. Their facilities, when I went to visit, I wouldn't bring a kid into their facilities, and I told them that. It was a mess. It was really a mess. And he said, absolutely, you're right. He got the community involved. He embraced the community. He embraced the local stores. They did it was really, it should have been on one of these shows. They painted the building. They cleaned the inside. They brought a new gym. They did a huge basketball court. They brought tutoring in, and also they had less than 50 constituents in their entire database. And even though it was 50 constituents, I don't think any of them were really active. After they cleaned the building and the park, and they literally made it beautiful. I was really impressed in a very short period of time. They then started saying, we need to get out to the schools. We need to let the parents know about what we're doing. They became very engaged in the community. They did their first amazing ever fundraising event. And it was I got to share it with you because I participated and I went. It was a night before of a comedy night. They had a spaghetti dinner. The next day they had a run and walk. I mean, they did so much for their first event, to really bring that out. And every year they continue doing this now. They have now a fully funded budget. They went from 20 kids to over 500 kids, and now they have 5,000 active donors in their donor database. And it was one executive director, that was it. And then they had a program manager for the programs that they were running. And then they brought in part-time students to run the camps and things like that. So it is as big as the PAL sounds. It's a very small organization that has become very, very successful. They do this all on their own. We did build them the website. They're using all of our software. And by the way, I'll just share this with you. You talk about best practices. I registered for their event. I mean, here I am, right? I registered for their event. Next thing, in not less than 5 minutes, I got a call from the executive. I see him calling me, and I'm thinking, we have a relationship, but why is he calling me? He should be calling support maybe. And I pick up the phone and I go, hey, Tim, what can I do for you? He says, hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for registering for my event. And my next response was, how did you know I registered? He said, David, I bought Ariva's software. You should know that. But my point there is, I'll never forget that story. It's everlasting. It's one thing, maybe they sent me an automatic thank you acknowledgement receipt, but I remember those little things when people call you. That's all goes back to the donor acquisition and retention engagement. So it's a really great success story on this.
I love that, David, because a lot of times, because the projects or nonprofits are so busy working on the administrative stuff, they're not actually able to cultivate and or steward donors. And so something like this really gives folks time back. Again, they have limited staff or limited volunteers. And this actually helps to prompt them into the calls and outreaches they need to make, and then tracks it in the system for you. So again, that's another use case for folks to look at in terms of what an all-in-one system like Ariva can do for them. Gives them time back and gives them time to spend with their donors. That's really important.
Yeah.
We do have one question that came in. This person would like to know, does the software have the capability to segment between donors, supporters, program participants, and alumni by maintaining separate databases and communication streams for each group?
The beauty of our solution is that you can manage all those different groups, segments in one database. So you wouldn't have multiple databases, because then you would be having multiple silos of data, which is exactly what we're trying to solve that problem, right? But it's very easy to tag or identify constituents in your database based off attributes that are attached to them, whether it's donation information, volunteer information, events they've attended, how they're affiliated, board members, staff, whoever it is. You can tag them as well as attach information attributes to all those constituents and easily pull them out based off that information and combinations of that information. Hey, I want to get all my volunteers who have never given or who have given, or I want to get people who have only attended events but not actually given individual donations. So you can really slice and dice and get more granular in terms of identifying segments and then figuring out how to engage those people more, right? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Christopher, just to jump in, you folks do a lot on the program side where other CRMs don't. For example, all your work with Ronald McDonald House that you do. And so I know you have some in the box features that can help track program participants and different information about that. But also for those folks who need a more robust integrated system, you guys do customization. So if someone really wants to bring it all together, programs, client services, and donors together, that is something folks could discuss with you as well to try to see if that's something you could do
Yes.
long term. And get into
That's
the donor sphere first, and then move their existing client services system over.
That is a really good point. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Tyrone. We do
That's
have
why I'm here.
we have yeah, we have developed special add-on modules for health hospitality organizations. We just did a deal with a group of organizations that cancer support group that needs client tracking. So we're building out some things for them. Sometimes there are people doing client tracking and program tracking, just utilizing the existing functionality and customizing existing application as is to do things too. So, and that's where I think shine in terms of what David mentioned earlier is our client success team and our support team really are going to help you be successful out of the gate, not only through your data migration if you have one, but through the onboarding and setting up the system in a way it's going to allow you to manage on an ongoing basis all your different constituents.
And I think it's worth noting that the system is customizable from the user end. Like they don't always need to engage you to customize. They can have custom fields, custom reports. So a lot of that's accessible to them right away out of the box. And with some training, they can be really clever and creative. And for those more robust solutions, that's something they can turn to you for creating either special updates to the existing system or to do all out new modules. So again, it's one of the reasons why we love you guys, because long term, you're going to be really useful for organizations that need an all-in-one system. We're going to keep harping on that.
Couldn't have said it better. Got it.
I hope we answered the question.
Chris, do you want to cover this one?
Yeah, I will start this one. This is our last client success story is about Boys and Girls Club of Greater Salt Lake. This is a bit different than the other two we just mentioned, which were smaller organizations and starting either with nothing or it's coming from Excel spreadsheets or very small organizations. But Boys and Girls Club of Salt Lake, the woman there is an amazing executive director. She's really steeped in fundraising and running capital campaigns and other types of campaigns and major donor fundraising. So she was very sophisticated. She came in, they had already gone through 2 different applications before they came to us. They went from Donor Perfect to Bloomerang, and then Bloomerang wasn't offering what she needed in terms of a fully integrated solution. So they came to us and found what they needed in terms of being able to run her capital campaign. She went from she had 5 sites she was managing. She now has 7. She's been, and thanks to the campaign management system that we have, she's been using that to manage her capital campaign. But we essentially consolidated, gosh, what was it, David? I think it was 5 different applications they were using for managing their constituents, to their peer-to-peer campaign, to their grants. They had Excel spreadsheets. They had stuff literally on hard copy. But we took all of those disparate databases and integrated them all into one, migrated them into one database. As David said, our data migrations are world class. When they're done, you're not spending months cleaning up data after a data migration. We do that with you during the data migration so that you're ready to go as soon as you go live in our software. She's using almost every piece of our application, whether it's grant management, event management, campaign management, the auction side, peer-to-peer. So she's using almost everything there, and she's just done a great job. I mean, the results are they're saving so much time in terms of not having to move data between solutions, and they've really grown since and a lot of that is on the executive director. We can't take all the credit for it, but she definitely now has the tools in place to really help her organization grow and have our solution grow with them, which was what Tyrone mentioned earlier too. That earlier case study with Dave Pally, they went from 50 constituents to 5,000 donors. That the acquisition there is amazing, and they use all those pieces to acquire all those new donors. But they had that growth mindset from the outset. They didn't go with the cheapest solution out there. They want the solution that would grow with them, right? So, David, please add anything if you'd like.
Well, you say one that would grow with them. I think another really good point was during this exercise, and I think a lot of organizations out there when they're thinking about moving to a new donor relationship management or an online fundraising platform, they think of it as a one-to-one ratio, meaning, I've got, whether I have an Excel spreadsheet or I have a Donor Perfect or I have a Bloomerang, they've got something, right? And for us, it is not a one-to-one. It's not an apples to apples. I mean, yes, you should compare the donor relationship management on the features and functions and make sure it really is filling all your requirements, and it really has depth and breadth, not just some pretty, dashboards, which I think we all have nice dashboards, but you want to look at that. The point, I think, Chris, that you were mentioning, really, I think is really strong, is not only were they using multiple systems, but when she really started, because we asked very transparently, how much are you actually spending? And her first reaction was, I'm spending X for our donor relationship management. And then I said, well, you're using all these other systems. She goes, you bring up a great question. We saved her, and she didn't realize it at the time because she was new coming in as the executive director. And then she started looking at all the contracts they had and how much they were paying in transactions and how much they were paying in individual applications. And then she did one step further. She actually started analyzing how much time individually her staff was using manually, because that alone equated to more than what they were saving. And they actually saved, I believe, almost $6,000 by consolidating this. And we reduced that pay, and we eliminated all those different silos. So, the results, like you said, we can't take credit for the increase of club size and membership size, but really what we did was we made it more efficient for them and easier for them to scale. And I think that's what technology should be doing for you. So the results there are really great. They also went out and they hired a marketing. They could afford a marketing and branding company. They chose us because of the way that we built our websites. And when you think about websites also, and I don't want to take this lightly, unfortunately, there's turnover in our industry. And when there's turnover, you want some level of corporate governance. So when you have an Exceed Further product that's all in one, and then you have a website, you're really delivering a corporate governance around that too. So if someone's managing that existing website and they leave and you don't know where that password is, you call Ariva and we do that. If they do something with the website, we can help them fix it. In this case, they had a really nice website. If you have a chance, I really love the way she did it. It was a little bit differently. We use this as an example, but go to Boys and Girls Club Greater Salt Lake City, and you can see not only about how it looks, and I like some tabs. And again, websites are all personal preference, but I also like how they promote how the donations are coming in now, how your donation is impacting. And they do have an amazing impact report, but even on their corporate website or their website, the chapter's website, they show the important things on how many meals they're serving, how many staff they're training, how many programs they're running, how many students they're supporting. Really important things. So I really liked a lot of the things that they did. And, that's why we share a little bit about, these type of success stories, because hopefully that can resonate, because everything makes a difference today. I mean, everything, when you really think about it, we're all in certain areas. I know I'm here in Florida, in Broward County alone, there's 12,000 nonprofits. I mean, how do you compete with that? So messaging, channel, email campaigns, segmentation, and understanding your existing donors, means so much, and these are some of the things that they do apply regardless of the size, whether they were, a large or just a grassroots organization. So I think some of these things are really important to continue mentioning. But thanks, Chris.
Yeah, and Dave, I want to jump back to the part you were talking about, the assessment that needs to take place when selecting a platform. Again, most of the projects have never done this before. And as someone who works with organizations to do this kind of work, as an advocate for them, I always do a needs assessment with them beforehand, so they know what they need to be looking for when they do demos. And I also have them do a financial assessment. Like, a lot of them don't realize how much time and energy and money they're spending on the disparate systems. And so that really creates another perspective. And so I love that you bring that up and that you're actually able to, you're one of the few platforms that takes that much interest in having folks realize why Ariva might be a good choice for them and give organizations confidence that you can walk them through this. Because again, many of them don't know what they're doing. They've never done this before. They're afraid to take that next step. And I think having this discussion will help some of them see that you're a safe bet for them to engage to help make the right decision.
And I got to say this, Tyrone, I'm not just saying it because you're here, but for the organization to have a Megan and you to be able to go in as a resource to them and advise them, because a lot of organizations just don't, we're so bogged down on our everyday work. We don't even think about how to evaluate it. That's not their job. It's not their job understanding technology. It's not their job about evaluating. I mean, sometimes we definitely think about, hey, what are the systems that we're running? But to have two people like you to guide them, I hope they really take advantage of that, even before they call us, because I think that would really help them necessitate, the needs that they have, the requirements that they may have. They could even learn a lot more. So we don't always have an opportunity to work with consultants like you guys. So I hope they'll take advantage of that. That's all.
Well, that's a great update for me to plug myself here. And we've been trying to get the word out to folks that I am now an approved vendor for Tides projects. And so for those who have limited resources or just really want someone to advocate for them, no matter who they're working with, I'm available to projects. My page is now on the technology portal. And I can either help them with specific parts like a needs assessment or help to guide them through the whole process. And I have affordable packages for folks because, it can be expensive out there, but it's worth it for them to get in. I also wanted to talk a little bit about some fear folks are going to have about if your system is this robust, it must be hard to use. Again, there's these myths that are always around in the universe. And I want to help dispel that one because another reason we chose you guys is because your system platform looks great. It's easy on the eyes. And while it's robust, it's easy to learn and use. Can you speak to that, please?
Chris, I'm going to let you touch with that. You demonstrate this all the time, and I'll definitely touch on it. I tend to agree with everything you said, but why don't you touch on that?
Yeah, our product is full featured. It does go deep and wide in terms of functionality, and you don't have to use it all, of course. That graphic we showed you of all the different types of information that you can manage and constituents you can manage in our system. It can do all of that, but you do not have to use every single piece of it. That's number one. It is modular. There are some people that just use the base product and manage constituents and donations and run reports and do communications, and that's it. There are other people that use every nook and cranny and have every module and are managing grants and volunteers and et cetera, and have dozens of users in the database. So you can utilize as many pieces as you feel need. That's where I mentioned earlier, they can grow with you. But in terms of the ease of use, it is intuitive. There is a lot of functionality. There's householding, there's segmentation, there's tagging, there's lots of features, but it is intuitive and easy to use, and you don't have to use the pieces you're not going to use. It's sort of like akin to, I don't know, using Microsoft Excel or Word. Yeah, I think the average person uses 10% of the features, right, in those products. But there are power users that can really, use Excel to a way I couldn't even keep up. So we have power users who really get deep into the product, but to use it at its most basic level, it's very easy to use. We have videos recorded for you available to all our clients for free on how-tos. We have how-to articles and a knowledge base. We have a client success team that's reading out to you proactively and walking you through things. We have a reactive support team that's there available. Phone, we do not charge extra for phone support. We offer phone, email, chat. They're always available. Our successful clients too are utilizing all those resources because, as David said earlier, turnover is the biggest problem that we see. All that institutional memory that someone has and how they set up an application or using it is gone once they're gone. So more important than anything else is documenting how you put information into the solution so that it's consistently put in that way. That's the biggest issue we see. It's not how to use the product. It's not training. It's continuity in how you're using that solution. I don't know, it's a bit of a tangent, but David, please add to anything I've said.
No, I even think like, a lot of people, even on the front end, how easy it is to use to set up an event. I mean, if you're running an event and you're doing a similar event page, we really made it so simple that you could literally cut and paste the other event, click on the defaults, boom, literally in 3 minutes, your page is up. I mean, maybe it's less than 3 minutes, but I just want to, maybe it takes you a little bit long to click. That's how we've done it. If you see a new page, like we have clients always, and we don't want you to think that it's a one time and that's it. Meaning, maybe you saw one of our new or a client's new unlimited donation pages, and you like that, right? It's so simple for you to call us and say, "Hey, could you set this up this way?" So don't think, when you're originally doing this, if you set something up, that it's so difficult, because it's not. How to make these changes, whether it's a donation page, whether it's a event page, whether it's a peer-to-peer fundraising page, we made it easy. And when you think about even peer-to-peer, it's your constituents that you're working with, right? You got to make it easy for them. You got to make it 1 to 2 clicks away for them to build their own personal fundraising pages. So we've done a lot. We've really thought, well, very hard about not just the staff, but we also thought making it easy for volunteers and donors and anybody else that's using it. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can
And just a
also,
comment before we go back to Q&A. So what I'm hearing is not only is it easy to use, and also for those projects that are still trying to figure technology out, you can provide hands-on support to create what they need and then teach them how to use it and keep it up to date.
Mhm.
100%. Even I got to tell you, even on our team fundraising, we get calls. Oh my God, we got to set this up today. Can you help us? I mean, we're right there. We do that stuff for our clients. That's the nice thing. It's
Yeah.
not like, hey, contract
Hey.
us to do this and contract us to do that.
Yeah.
We want you to be successful, Tyrone.
I should have mentioned too, a lot of the tasks that are routines can be saved. All the steps it takes to get this report or to do this communication could be saved and even scheduled to be. I could say set up a report, have it sent to my inbox every Monday. I could save all the steps it took me to do this invitation for an artist, so I could reuse it later. So there are also tasks that could be very easily saved and be a click away, which is nice too.
So a form of
that helps.
automation. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know we probably want to wrap this up. I'm gonna help Gabriella here keep us moving along.
Yeah. All
We
right.
did want to just like let folks know those are your responses to the survey that we had sent out for the registration. It's really interesting. There's a lot who are doing their first platform. A lot who want a unified database. Those are like the key ones that always rise to the top, as well as easy to use data reporting. And I think, oh, there's more. Oh yeah, so here are from Ariva, their own client outcomes. So this is interesting. I won't read it to folks because that can be boring. They can see it for themselves. But I also think, do we have any questions that folks have after this before we wrap this up? Then I'll hand it off to Gabriella to lead us to the end.
Gabby?
Yeah, if there are no questions, one thing, the polls are not working, but if you would like to learn any more in depth about what we talked about today, fundraising and donor relationship management consultation and demo, just go ahead and comment in the chat box, yes, and then we will make sure that someone from our team gets in touch with you. Maybe there was something that you heard that you'd like to learn a little bit more about. We're happy to, jump on a call and do a personalized consultation with you to see how we can really help your organization thrive and achieve more for your mission. So go ahead, just drop a yes in the chat box and I'll make sure to grab your name if it's in there. And then I'll leave this up, and then if there's any other questions, we can go ahead and do a Q&A session right now too, if you had any questions for David, Chris, Megan, or P. Tyrone.
The quiet group.
That's all right. There was a lot of information today.
There is.
The nice thing is you are going to get a recorded copy of this session and a copy of the presentation deck. So feel free to, take this information, review it with your teams, and then you'll be getting a follow-up email from us as well. So if you review this information and you're like, you know what, actually, I'd like to learn more about this, you can go ahead and schedule a meeting there with us all too. So you can access this information. All right.
I'll also put in a plug that if you want to think through some of this information and think about, the implications and how it could be used for your organization, your advisor and accountant are also great resources to kind of brainstorm through all of the implications for your group. So you've got a lot of resources available to you, a lot of folks you can reach out to. Of course, P. Tyrone is also a great resource. So as you've digested all of this material, we're available to support you on the next steps.
Great.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you to our amazing panel. This was a great session. We learned a lot of information. You will be getting a recorded copy of the PowerPoint and of the session today. So make sure you keep your eyes out for that. But thank you, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.
Thanks to the entire Ariva team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Tyrone. Thanks, Gabby.
Yes.